Andrew, let's get right to it. Big game coming up in 48 hours here in the city of Toronto. You guys are 2 points back of Toronto. Jovinko is on fire, being snubbed by MLS. How are you guys preparing for this massive matchup against Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at they're getting Josie back. Jovinko's been on fire, and I mean, personally, I think it's a shame that he hasn't been included in the All-Star game, and hope that he will at some point be. But we're focusing on them, trying to limit their chances, but also trying to worry about ourselves a bit. We've been in good form as of late.
And you took care of business against the Portland Timbers. Offensively, you guys were tremendous that game, 3-0. And right now, you guys are firing on all cylinders. How important is it, Andrew? I've said this at the beginning of the year for three franchises, Chicago, Philly, and Toronto, big markets that they need to get into the playoffs for their fan base that has suffered. Do you guys realize and understand that responsibility this season?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's been our goal since the beginning of the season, to make it to the playoffs. Our fans deserve it, and we're working hard to make sure that can happen.
Andrew, too much quality on this Philly team not to make it into the playoffs and make noise. Moadu, who has joined us before, Ray Gaddis, CJ Sapong, so many guys. The Canadian Steven Vittoria, if I'm not mistaken, is injured. But a lot of quality, a lot of guys that know what need to be done. What is said in the locker room during practice leading up to big games like this? Or is it really, let's go get the job done? A lot of guys understand what's at hand.
We've played together for a long time now, so we pretty much understand what needs to happen and how things are going to go. Really, the point is that everyone needs to go out and have a good game. For us, we don't feel that anyone needs to have a fantastic game, but we need 11 guys that start the game and then 3 guys that come off the bench to have good games. And if we can do that over the course of the season, we're going to be productive.
Andrew, you've been around MLS a number of years and you've been through a lot of different situations, but I think it's safe to say this year in the goalkeeping position, it was a real up and down roller coaster ride for your squad. But right now with Silvestri, I think you guys are getting comfortable, are getting to really play solid in front of him, and there's some synergy there. Talk about it.
Yeah, he's done well since he's come in. I think you see the back four, they're communicating well and trusting each other, and Brian's made some good saves for us and kept us in games, made some big saves, and I mean, that's what you ask of a goalkeeper, and he's done the job.
And when you look on the bench and you got a veteran, you got a winner like Connor Casey, that's got to do a lot for the group there, knowing that this guy can give you a good, solid 20, 25, maybe even more, and pitch in a valuable goal.
I mean, talk about a guy that's been around the league and has gotten it done in the past, an MLS Cup winner. And he's been a little injured at times this year, but I mean, he's getting fit at the right time, and he'll be huge for us.
Let's talk about head coach Jim Curtin. He's been under fire early on this season, but he settled things down with the group, and now you guys are in a rhythm. Big game coming up, as we said. Is there an identity, Andrew, that he wants to instill in your group to make other teams understand when you're playing Philly, this is what to expect?
Yeah, I think the mantra has been we want to make it hard on teams. When you play us, you want to understand that you're going to be in for a tough game and you're going to have to earn 3 points or even 1 point from us, however way you look at it. And that's kind of been our goal, hard to break down. And if you're going to beat us, make sure it's done with something special.
Andrew, let's talk about these two expansion teams, Orlando City and New York City FC. I think this has been a real good surprise for the league, and we see Orlando sitting in a playoff position and New York nipping on your heels there. How great is this for the League One, and how important is it for the youth in North America, not just the US of A, to get more spots open for young men?
The funny thing is I was actually just talking to Brian Carroll about this yesterday, kind of commenting on the Giovanni Dos Santos signing, that he's been in the league for almost 13 or 14 years, and how far the league has progressed just in the last 4 or 5 years. And you look at it, these two expansion teams are a great example of that. They've come in and competed right away, and I've also made some huge signings that, I mean, raised the profile of the league.
You know, Andrew, you talk about raising the profile of the league. I would be real safe to say that Seattle, Vancouver, Portland, that Pacific Northwest pocket there can rival any European or South American 3 clubs, the way they support their teams before the game, during the game, and after the game. It is electric. You've played in those 3 cities. Tell us about it.
You said it yourself, it's an electric atmosphere, and the fantastic thing about those places is that they do it week in and week out. I would argue that there's a lot of other places around the league that have fantastic fans, are great places. Philly's one of them. Toronto's one of them. But I don't want to say it's not all the time, but sometimes it's not always the same. But out there, it's fantastic all the time. When you're playing in Seattle, you can barely talk to each other.
I mean, and that's fantastic because that's what you want, and that's what you want to see from the other franchises that are coming in, whether Minnesota, Atlanta, on and on. You need that rivalry, you need that atmosphere so that people don't consider this, a retirement league or a second-tier league. You know this better than I, Andrew. I've been dealing with people in Europe for many, many years defending MLS, and now finally with Jovinko here and Kaká, they're starting to get some respect, and it's no longer a retirement league, Andrew. It's a league that needs to be taken seriously once and for all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I still think we have a little ways to go. I mean, once you can see the rosters, the minimum salaries of the rosters progress even a little bit further, I think it's really going to take off. And you're not only going to see guys like Jovinko, some of the top-level names that are taking up DP spots, but guys just below that are fighting for just roster spots themselves.
Yeah, and you mentioned the salary structure, and I think it has to change for this league to get better and better, and it has to take care of the guys at the bottom there because, let's be honest, some of those guys at the bottom, I wouldn't be surprised in the offseason if they have to pick up a job here and there just to make sure that the bills are paid. And this is unfortunate, Andrew.
It is, but you also have to give credit to the MLS Players Union that's done a fantastic job in advancing our cause for all the players over the last several years. And we also have to understand that it's a process, and we're moving ourselves along in the right direction.